Have you ever looked in the mirror and no longer recognized yourself? Not in a romantic, cinematic way, but as a stark, cold reality. You look into the eyes of the person in the mirror and see only emptiness, a weariness that has seeped deep into your bones. That was me 31 days ago, a person who was merely existing, not living. My life back then was an endless loop, a hamster wheel I had built for myself and then gotten stuck in. The day began with the sound of an alarm clock being snoozed for the fifth, sixth time. I would bolt out of bed in a panic, hastily grab some clothes, swallow a piece of toast, and pump my body full of thick, bitter coffee just to be able to open my eyes. The time between waking up and sitting at my desk was a blur of hurry and anxiety. And then the entire day was a battle against looming deadlines, against hundreds of emails demanding attention, against the feeling that I was working tirelessly but getting nowhere. My energy would crash at 3 p.m. For the remaining hours of the workday, I was just coasting, pretending to be busy, my mind thick as fog. I'd come home too tired to do anything meaningful. No writing, no exercise, no deep conversations. I just wanted to collapse on the sofa, mindlessly scrolling through my phone, letting the infinite stream of information wash away my emptiness until my eyelids grew heavy and I fell into a restless, unfulfilling sleep. And the next day would begin exactly the same. But last night, something broke. It was a Tuesday night around 2 a.m. I was still sitting in front of my laptop, the cold blue light illuminating my weary face. An important report was due, but my brain had gone on strike. I'd type a few words, then delete them. A wave of helplessness and self-loathing washed over me. I had broken a promise to my boss, and worse, I had broken a promise to myself. In that moment, as my computer screen automatically went into sleep mode, I saw it, my reflection on the black screen. A failure, a ghost of the ambitions I once had. And a question arose, so clear it was painful in the silence of the room. Whose life are you living? That question was a slap in the face. I had no answer. I just know that this wasn't the life I wanted to live. I don't want to look back at 40, at 50, and see only a series of tired, empty, and regretful days. I had to change. Not tomorrow, not next week, but right now. At that very moment, without a shred of hesitation, I reached for my phone and opened the clock app. My finger slid across the numbers. 7:30, 7:15, 7 o'clock. Too safe, too familiar. I needed a shock, a complete break from the pattern. My fingers stopped at the number 5 a.m. I set the alarm. The confirmation sound echoed in the quiet night like an oath. I couldn't sleep that night. Partly from anxiety, partly from excitement. For the first time in years, I felt a glimmer of hope that tomorrow could be different. And then it came. Day one, the enemy called alarm. 5 a.m. The alarm went off. 5 a.m. That sound wasn't a chime. It was an assault. A brutal violation of my precious sleep. A screech that tore through the absolute silence of the room. In an instant, all the excitement from the night before vanished, replaced by a harsh reality. It was pitch black outside. The air was cold, and my bed was wickedly, cruelly warm. My eyelids felt like they had stones tied to them. Every muscle, every cell in my body protested. They didn't just want to sleep. They screamed in refusal of reality. Go back to sleep. Just 5 more minutes. You deserve it. That voice, the voice of temptation, was so sweet and deceptively reasonable. It was the close friend who had always been there for me every morning, always giving me permission to fail. One of my arms, as if with a will of its own, lifted heavily, fumbling in the dark, searching for the enemy, the phone. It was ready to hit the snooze button to buy another 9 minutes of heaven, to postpone the battle just a little longer. But then, The image of that ghost on the computer screen returned. That feeling of helplessness, that feeling of failing before the day had even begun. No, not today. With a monumental effort of will, a sudden jolt as if escaping quicksand, I sat bolt upright. The world spun. I felt nauseous. My head throbbed as if it had been hit with a hammer. I staggered out of bed like a zombie for a horror film. I had won. I had beaten the snooze button. A tiny, pathetic victory, but a victory nonetheless. The first battle wasn't against the clock. It was against myself. 5:15 to 7 a.m. I stood in the middle of the room, dazed and unsure what to do. It was too early to work, too early to eat, too early for anything. The silence was no longer peaceful. It became heavy, suffocating. I went to the kitchen and turned on the kettle. The sound of boiling water was the only noise in the house. I made a cup of coffee, hoping it would save me, but its taste only made me feel more nauseous. I sat at my desk and opened the book that I promised myself I would read. The words danced before my eyes. I'd read the same sentence 3 times and still didn't understand it. My brain was like a frozen computer, refusing to process information. I gave up, closing the book. I tried to meditate, but instead of finding calm, 1,000 negative thoughts arose. See, you can't do anything. You woke up early just to sit here